Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about my week number 14 running back rankings for fantasy football in 2021. Inside today's video, we're going to be going in depth into my top 32 ranked running backs of the week, as well as explaining in depth as to why I have them ranked at each and every single spot inside of the top 32. But before we could get on into things, I would like to ask, if you are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, to please make sure that you do hit that subscribe button down below, because not only is it free, I put out content every single day to help you guys win your 2021 fantasy football championship. And while you're down there, whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure to hit that like button down below to help boost this video up the algorithm so that more beautiful people like yourself can see today's video. I would also like to ask, if you guys are on Twitter and would like to follow me on there, to please do so at NotoriousFNTSY. The link to my Twitter is also down below in the video description. So without further ado, let's get into my week number 14 running back rankings. We begin at number 1 with running back of the LA Chargers, Austin Ekeler, going up against the New York Football Giants this week. The team is going to be without Keenan Allen in this game, and it seems as though Mike Williams is trending towards playing. Now, without Keenan Allen, that does definitely up, in my opinion, the upside that Austin Ekeler could have. But even if Mike Williams is in the game, even if Keenan Allen is in the game, I am still going to be 100% confident in Austin Ekeler. Now, again, Keenan Allen is ruled out in this game, so he is not going to be playing. But even when they are all healthy, I am 100% confident in Austin Ekeler every single week. He is the key focal point inside of this offense. Justin Herbert loves dumping the ball off to Austin Ekeler. They love handing the ball off to Austin Ekeler because this guy makes plays happen with every single touch up against the Giants defense. I honestly believe that Austin Ekeler will be able to run a train on this defense. I understand that the Miami Dolphins rushing attack was not very successful up against the Giants last week, but there's definitely a big difference between Myles Gaskin and Austin Ekeler. Obviously, Austin Ekeler is a much better running back than Myles Gaskin, so I love Austin Ekeler in this game up against the Giants. This could end up being an absolute rout by the LA Chargers, where they are running up the score late in the game by running the football, and I think Austin Ekeler is going to have a huge day up against the Giants. At number 2, we have Joe Mixon, running back of the Cincinnati Bengals, going up against the San Francisco 49ers. If Joe Mixon is good to go, I think he has a huge bounce back game this week. Obviously, last week, everyone and their mother was on Joe Mixon up against the sorry-ass LA Chargers run defense. Joe Mixon ends up getting banged up in that game, and the Cincinnati Bengals ultimately lose, so Joe Mixon has a down day compared to the last couple of weeks where the guy was on fire. While the 49ers run defense is far from this cupcake defense that Joe Mixon should be able to run all over easily, I think that if they're able to commit to the run, that Joe Mixon will be quite successful in this game. Like I said, besides last week, he has been very successful over the last stretch of the season, so I love Joe Mixon in this spot up against the 49ers. At number 3, we have Uncle Lenny, Leonard Fournette, running back of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, going up against the Buffalo Bills. All offseason long, we had this constant debate, Ronald Jones versus Leonard Fournette, and that was one of the dumbest debates I have ever had inside of my own brain, because this year, the whole season long, it wasn't like last year where they play Ronald Jones and then Bruce Arians comes out and says, hey, you know what, Ronald Jones had a great game. Next week, it's going to be Ronald Jones week. And then you fast forward to next week, and then Leonard Fournette's running a train on the defense. Then after the game, Bruce Arians like, you know what, next week, that's Uncle Lenny's time. And then Ronald Jones has a great game. We have not seen that this season. There has been a full commitment to Leonard Fournette being the lead back on the team. Going up against the Buffalo Bills defense, we did just see them get ran on very effectively by the New England Patriots with Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson. I don't think necessarily that the Buffalo Bills defense is shit up against the run, because if we discount that large run, now again, can you really discount something that happened in the game? But if you discount that, the Buffalo Bills defense was actually alright up against the run. It's just shocking that they weren't more effective when you knew that every single play the Patriots were going to run the ball. But Leonard Fournette is on one of the best teams, if not the best team in the NFL, and Tom Brady seems very committed to giving the rock to Mr. Leonard Fournette. We're seeing him be relatively involved in the pass-catching game. Now, is he going to potentially catch 10 passes like a guy like Austin Ekeler? Probably not, but he could be in that 4, 5, or 6 range in this game. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game up against the Buffalo Bills, so I like Leonard Fournette here as my number 3 running back. At number 4, we have Alvin Kamara, running back of the New Orleans Saints, going up against the Jumbo Jets in MetLife. In this game, I think that a lot of people are going to be very high on Alvin Kamara, so I'm going to give you the reason why I got him as my number 4 running back. Now, does that mean that I am very low on Alvin Kamara? No, but I think in comparison to everyone else who is saying that Alvin Kamara is a locked and loaded number one running back. Basically, everyone and their mother has this guy ranked as the number one running back in fantasy this week. Now, the reason why they have him ranked like this is because the Saints are banged up all offensively. It's basically going to be Alvin Kamara and Taysom Hill versus the world. The reason why I have him ranked a little bit lower is because I am nervous about the fact that I think that Taysom Hill is going to be taking a lot of the opportunity away from Alvin Kamara. Now, if this is a SmackDown WWE style where the New Orleans Saints run for 250 fucking yards up against the Jets, then obviously Alvin Kamara is going to have a good day, and I'm not going to argue with that. I am just very worried about the fact that in the past we have seen that when Taysom Hill is the quarterback, that Alvin Kamara's production dives off the edge of the fucking earth. But at the end of the day, I'm still going to start Alvin Kamara. I'm still going to be comfortable playing him. I'm still going to be confident ranking him as a top 5 running back, but I just personally do not believe that he is locked and loaded as the number 1 running back in fantasy this week, like a lot of people will make that argument. At number 5, we have Antonio Gibson, running back of the Washington football team, going up against the Dallas Cowboys this week. Now, J.D. McKissic definitely could play in this game, but even if he ends up playing, I am still very comfortable, very confident playing Antonio Gibson. This guy has just been dominant over the last couple of games. Going up against the Dallas Cowboys defense, I understand that that isn't the best matchup for a running back, but I think based on a volume standpoint alone, Antonio Gibson will be able to get it done in this game, just like he did last week up against the Las Vegas Raiders. At number 6, we have Cordero Patterson, running back / wide receiver / safety of the Atlanta Falcons, going up against the Carolina Panthers this week in Carolina. And I feel like of all the games on this slate, on Sunday, that this is the game that confuses me by far the most, because I would not be surprised at all if the Atlanta Falcons ran away with this game, just laid the SmackDown WWE style on the Carolina Panthers. But I also wouldn't be surprised at all if the Carolina Panthers came in here at home and whooped the ass of the Atlanta Falcons, because I think that this game is so hard to dissect, because for some reason, the Carolina Panthers fired their offensive coordinator, Joe Brady, despite nothing being his fault, in my opinion. You lose your quarterback, you lose Mono Man Sam, you lose Christian McCaffrey, you have PJ Walker playing, now you have Cam Newton. This offense is a shit show due to injuries. Why are you firing Joe Brady, who many people believe could be a head coach at the NFL level, that many believed was going to be the head coach of the Houston Texans last year? Or not last year, but going into this season, a lot of people thought that they were going to end up bringing him in. So I don't get that, and that's why this game is confusing. But what's not confusing about this game is Cordero fucking Patterson. This guy is the key piece. He is the focal point in the Atlanta Falcons offense. Now, he's going to have some down games, but his down games aren't even that bad. He's getting like 10 half PPR points, but in his great games, in a game that we could see this week up against the Carolina Panthers, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Cordero Patterson was the number 1 running back in all of fantasy football, because when this guy is on, when he is getting this supreme amount of volume, when he's rushing the ball, as well as catching a bunch of passes going out wide, he could really dominate. So with all that said, with the amount of upside that I believe that Cordero Patterson has weekly, I'm definitely going to be firing him up in this matchup. At number 7, we have 9-inch Nicholas Chubb, running back of the Cleveland Browns, going up against the Baltimore Ravens. With him and Kareem Hunt healthy, I actually think that is the perfect scenario for Nick Chubb, because you notice when Kareem Hunt is out, Nick Chubb is basically doing the exact same thing, and when Nick Chubb is out, Kareem Hunt is basically doing the exact same thing in terms of fantasy production. This matchup up against the Baltimore Ravens, we actually saw this 2 weeks ago. This was the last game the Cleveland Browns played because they were on bye last week. I think coming out of the bye, Nick Chubb will be more healthy, and I think that going up against the Baltimore Ravens has the potential for Nick Chubb to run amok up against the Baltimore Ravens. Am I in love with Nick Chubb this week? No, because if I'm being honest with you, I would not be surprised if this was a disgusting game just like it was 2 weeks ago, but Nick Chubb is definitely a running back that you should be ranking inside the top 10 because of the volume that he receives. Now moving to running back number 8, we have Javonte Williams, running back of the Denver Broncos, going up against the Detroit Lions. Now, it is very possible that Melvin Gordon ends up playing in this game. We are going to be discussing Melvin Gordon a little bit more in depth later on in the video. But if Melvin Gordon ends up playing, I'm still going to play Javonte Williams, but running back 8 may be a little bit ambitious if Melvin Gordon plays, because while Javonte Williams looked explosive last week up against the Kansas City Chiefs, it has been the tale all season long. When Melvin Gordon is healthy, this is going to be basically a 50-50 split. Now, maybe last week sways the team to give Javonte Williams slightly more touches. slightly more touches. Now, I'm not talking about him becoming the lead running back 70 to 30% or 60-40. I think maybe it moves the needle to 55% for Javonte Williams and 45% for Melvin Gordon. And I think a lot of people are going to be tricked into thinking that Javonte Williams is going to be the clear lead back now for the Denver Broncos. Now, this is a cupcake matchup. So it is very feasible that both Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon, if Melvin Gordon plays, they both run a train here. They both hang 100 yards and a touchdown on this defense. That would not surprise me at all. But understand that the pendulum hasn't just swung completely towards Javonte Williams. Melvin Gordon will still be seeing work. But before we break down running back number 9, I would like to ask that if you have ended up enjoying thus far, please make sure to hit that like button as well as hitting that subscribe button. I would appreciate it a ton. At number 9, we have David Montgomery, running back of the Chicago Bears, going up against the Green Bay Packers this week in Green Bay in prime time. David Montgomery was struggling as of recently, but last week, the man got right back on the saddle and absolutely dominated. This matchup up against the Green Bay Packers, I believe, personally, that the Green Bay Packers are going to murder the Chicago Bears, O.J. Simpson style. Like, this is going to be a non-contest. But at the end of the day, I still think the Chicago Bears are going to be giving the ball at a very high rate to David Montgomery. This offense is very successful when they give the ball to David Montgomery. So why wouldn't they give him more carries? Why wouldn't they give him more looks out of the backfield by dumping the ball off? Is this a very safe ranking at running back number 9? In my opinion, no. Just a little bit ambitious. But at the end of the day, I think they saw last week that, hey, we give David Montgomery the ball, he's going to do great things. So I think they feed him in this game up against the Green Bay Packers. I just personally hope that this isn't a beatdown, because that is certainly going to hurt David Montgomery's upside. At number 10, we got Josh Jacobs, running back of the Las Vegas Raiders, going up against the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City. Now, he elevates his way up into the top 10, mostly because, Dalvin Cook already played, Najee Harris already played on Thursday Night Football, but also because Kenyon Drake is out for the season. And I think without Kenyon Drake, we should be seeing Josh Jacobs seeing more of a receiving role inside of this offense. He is normally one of those running backs that is very safe every single week, but his upside has been limited by the fact that, the Raiders offense just hasn't been that amazing as of recently. But up against the Kansas City Chiefs, this could be a very high-scoring game, so I will dub Josh Jacobs as a top 10 running back this week. Please don't do me dirty, Mr. Josh Jacobs. Now we move to running backs 11 through 20 on the week. Starting at number 11, we have Aaron Jones, running back of the Green Bay Packers, going up against the Chicago Bears this week. Now, when it comes to Aaron Jones, we're also going to be talking about A.J. Dillon in a little bit, because while Aaron Jones is back, he should be healthy. They are coming off of the bye. I am pretty worried about the fact that A.J. Dillon has been seeing more and more work as the weeks went on this season, even when Aaron Jones was healthy, especially in their game prior to the bye last week. So it makes me a little bit nervous about Aaron Jones. Now, do I think that he's going to shit the bed? Of course not, because he's my running back number 11 on the week, but my confidence is starting to dwindle a little bit on Aaron Jones. I think this is a great matchup up against the Bears. Just don't be surprised if A.J. Dillon is out there vulturing a bunch of points, and it's going to piss us off, but hey, I think Aaron Jones does have a lot of upside on the week. At number 12, we have James Conner, running back of the Arizona Cardinals, going up against the LA Rams. It does not seem like Chase Edmonds is going to play, and if I'm being honest with you, if Chase Edmonds plays, I am still very comfortable playing James Conner. I think he is the clear lead back on this team, at least in terms of when they're in the red zone. James Conner is going to be on there, or be out there 100% of the time. Even when Chase Edmonds was healthy, they would just yank him out of the game and have James Conner mosey his way on in to the end zone. This week up against the LA Rams, this game reeks of points. This is going to be a very high-scoring game, so I love James Conner here with Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins back. Obviously, we saw them back last week, so I really do like this matchup for James Conner. At number 13, we have Ezekiel Elliott, running back of the Dallas Cowboys, going up against the Washington football team in Washington. As you can see, I have Tony Pollard ranked as my running back number 20, and this is going to continue to be one of the most confusing situations for running backs in fantasy football. Because when Ezekiel Elliott is healthy, you can basically count him in as a top 10, top 5 running back every single week. But it's very clear that the guy is banged up, and it's very clear that the team doesn't give a fuck because they keep rolling him out there. But they're not giving him the correct amount of workload. We are going to see Tony Pollard's usage in this game be relatively high. Now, is he going to out-snap Ezekiel Elliott? Is he going to out-touch Ezekiel Elliott? Probably not, but his usage will be much higher than it has been in previous games in the season, and that worries me about Ezekiel Elliott. But then you seem like an asshole if you rank Ezekiel Elliott low, because there's still a good chance that Ezekiel Elliott could bust off a big run, could score a touchdown, could have a very solid game, even when he's maybe 85 to 90%, not a full 100%. And Jerry Jones' reporting of all this shit makes everything even more confusing. So when it comes to Ezekiel Elliott, I'm going to be playing Zeke this week, but I'm telling you that my confidence has never been this low in Ezekiel Elliott. At number 14, we have Mr. CEH, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, running back of the Chiefs, going up against the Las Vegas Raiders. We have been seeing Darrell Williams get a little bit more usage as of recently, but it is still very clear that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is the clear lead number one running back on this team. I think going up against the Las Vegas Raiders, like we discussed with Josh Jacobs a couple of minutes ago, that this is going to be a high-scoring game. Clyde Edwards-Helaire does get a decent amount of work out of the backfield, going to be getting a lot of dump-offs potentially in this game, so I like him as my RB14. At number 15, we have Saquon Barkley, running back of the New York Giants, going up against the LA Chargers this week in LA. Before, I was talking about how the Cincinnati Bengals played up against the LA Chargers, and I had very high hopes for Joe Mixon because of how soft serve this matchup is up against the Chargers' run defense. They're just not good at all up against the run. Now we got Saquon Barkley. Now last week up against the Dolphins, Saquon Barkley attempted a 360 hurdle. He jumped up in the air, did a fucking spinorama like he was in phase trying to hit a trick shot off the top of high rise, and it was hilarious. But at the end of the day, Saquon Barkley's usage is still suspect. It is still confusing. Why is this guy not getting the ball more? He's the best player on your team. Now, it appears that they won't have to start Jake Fromm, and they could play Mike Glennon. Now, in my opinion, if I'm the Giants, you would have to be a fucking fool to start Mike Glennon over Jake Fromm. Why? Because you know what Mike Glennon is. That long neck motherfucker is not good. Jake Fromm, there's a lot of untapped potential in there. Now, I don't think that Jake Fromm is the second coming of Tom Brady or something, but I'd like to see what we have in him if you're a Giants fan. You would want to see, hey, what is Jake Fromm? Because this Daniel Jones fellow doesn't look all that good either. So let's see what Jake Fromm is. Instead, this organization is so incompetent, they're not making the playoffs. Just play Jake Fromm. Just see what you got in the guy. I don't get it, but, you know, at the end of the day, I think Saquon Barkley will be just fine in this game, but I'm not very excited about him. At number 16, we have James Robinson of the Jacksonville Jaguars going up against the Tennessee Titans in Tennessee. It just came out a little bit earlier today that Urban Meyer has been basically just an asshole this whole time. Shocker. Shocker. Earlier on in the offseason, when they drafted Travis Etienne, I said that Urban Meyer's an idiot. And then when James Robinson became the lead back because Travis Etienne got hurt, I also stated in that video that Urban Meyer's a fucking idiot, and that concerns me. And I was getting a lot of comments. Nick, Urban Meyer's not an idiot. Let's see, pal. This guy's a fucking idiot. He's been undermining the coaches all season long, the other assistant coaches on the team. He also benched James Robinson, and Trevor Lawrence fucking torched the guy. He yelled at him because, hey, why is the best player not on the field? I don't get it, Urban Meyer, you dumb motherfucker, you idiot, you dumbass. And it pisses me off because if James Robinson was given the correct amount of work, this guy would easily be a top 10 running back, maybe even a top 5 running back in my rankings. But based upon the fact that at any moment, that numbskull motherfucker, Urban Meyer, could bench this guy, you can't play him with confidence. And it sucks. I hope he has a good game. I hope Urban Meyer pulls his head out of his ass and actually gives James Robinson the ball. I just hope so. At number 17, we have Devonta Freeman, running back of the Baltimore Ravens, going up against the Cleveland Browns this week in Cleveland. I think this has the potential to be an absolutely disgusting game, just like the game was 2 weeks ago, where there's a lot of mistakes. Lamar, Baker making mistakes, and they're going to try to run the ball a lot in this game. I think that Devonta Freeman is the clear lead running back. It's not that I think, I know. If you look at the stats over the last 5-6 games, it is very clear that Freeman is the lead back. Going up against the Browns defense, I expect the Baltimore Ravens to look to try to run the rock. They're one of the teams that runs the ball at the highest clip in the National Football League, as is the Browns. So it would just make sense that Freeman would get a lot of carries in this game. He does see some dump offs, not a guy that's going to be seeing 8-9 dump offs a game, but could be seeing maybe 4-5 targets go his way in this matchup. At number 18, we have Kareem Hunt, running back of the Cleveland Browns, going up against the Baltimore Ravens in this game. Again, this is going to be a nasty game, in my opinion. This game is going to be a shit show, but I do believe that the Browns are going to try to establish this run. We've seen Kareem Hunt get a lot of dump offs out of the backfield. I think Kareem Hunt is just fine in this game. Not a guy that I want to rank as a top 12 running back, but a guy that I'm fine playing this week. At number 19, we have Chuba Hubbard, running back of the Carolina Panthers, going up against the Atlanta Falcons. I think a lot of people are nervous about Hubbard because, oh man, Nick, you know, a lot of people are talking about Amir Abdullah, and what if Amir Abdullah is very involved and Hubbard has a bad day? Nick, what's gonna happen? I'm not worried about Abdullah. You know what I'm actually worried about? The fact that fucking Cam Newton sucked donkey cock up against the Miami Dolphins. If Chuba Hubbard has a bad game, it's not because of him. It's not because of Amir Abdullah. It's because of Cam Newton. Now, the same thing could be said if Cam Newton has a luxurious chef's kiss day and runs in 3 touchdowns. Then you're probably fucked when it comes to Hubbard. But at the end of the day, I'm still starting him here up against a not-so-hot Falcons defense. At number 20, we have Tony Pollard. Now, I'm basically just going to do the, what is that called, when you can read a book online, but you don't actually read the book? It's like the Cliff Notes. That's what I'm talking about here. This is the too long didn't read version of what I explained a little bit earlier with Ezekiel Elliott. Tony Pollard, obviously not the lead back on the team, but will be seeing more work because the team refuses to put Ezekiel Elliott on ice and bench him for a couple of games, have him healthy, have him spry, have him ready for their matchup up against whoever in the fucking playoffs. Why are you playing him? I don't know, but he's still getting touches and he's still seeing more work than Tony Pollard. So I'm going to continue to have to rank Zeke higher than Pollard, but my confidence in Zeke is getting lower, but my confidence in Tony Pollard is rising to the tippy top. So I like Pollard as a top 20 running back, but don't be surprised at all if magically Ezekiel Elliott is 100% healthy in this game, has an amazing game, and Pollard is left being the cuck just watching in the corner. Next up, we move to running backs 21 through 30. Again, if you have ended up enjoying, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button as well. I would appreciate it a ton. Running back number 21, we got Sony Michel of the LA Rams, who just go ahead and coincides with running back number 22, Darrell Henderson, running back of the LA Rams, going up against the Arizona Cardinals. Now, if you have Henderson, and if you have Michel, I hope that you have both of them, because this game is on Monday Night Football, and I don't think we will know until Monday night if Darrell Henderson is going to play or not. With that said, that is going to make it very hard to dissect if you want to start Henderson or Michel. I think, though, this week, if Henderson is good to go, that means that he's more healthy, and that I would prefer to start him over Michel. But I'm very confused about this situation, and I think it's really a 50-50 coin flip if Henderson plays, but I think unlike last week, like I said, where Henderson plays but Michel sees the lion's share of carries, where Henderson doesn't even touch the field, I think that's not going to be the case this week. I think Henderson is the lead back if he ends up suiting up. At number 23, we have A.J. Dillon, running back of the Packers, going up against the Chicago Bears. Again, talked about this a little bit earlier with Aaron Jones. Again, going to give you the Cliff Notes version, the too long didn't read version. Jones is the clear lead back, but Dillon's usage has started to ramp up a little bit. And with him getting more usage, obviously he's going to get more fantasy points, and that's going to hurt Aaron Jones. But A.J. Dillon isn't a guy that I heavily want to rely on, but is a guy that I am fine starting this week. At number 24, we have Jeff Wilson, running back of the 49ers, going up against the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati. I love the situation without Elijah Mitchell for Jeff Wilson. But what I don't love is Jeff Wilson, because we've seen this before where he just doesn't produce at the level you would want. Now, going up against the Bengals defense, you could easily see the 49ers and Jeff Wilson running a train on them. So I think he's a fine start, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if we saw a little bit of hasty behind him. But I do definitely think that Jeff Wilson is going to be the lead back in this game. And out of all the running backs on the 49ers, he is the one I would be looking to start. At number 25 and number 26, we have the running backs of the Tennessee Titans going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars. That is Donta Foreman as well as Dontrell Hilliard. Now, I talked about this in the running back start sit. I talked about this in the waiver wire video. In my opinion, this is a complete and utter coin flip between Foreman and Hilliard. I don't think one of them is clearly the lead back over the other, and I'm interested to see what happens this week because it is going to be very damning, very clear as to what the future looks like for the Tennessee Titans at the running back position, because we saw the last time they played, now they're on bye last week, we saw them play up against the Patriots. They both ran for 100 yards in that game, which even further, just fucks with this situation. You don't really know what's going to happen, so I'm going to tell you that I ever so slightly lean Foreman, but it really is a coin flip to me. At number 27, we got Melvin Gordon. Again, we discussed him a little bit earlier. If he plays, I don't love him this week, but I'm going to start him because he's up against the Lions, and because I really think that this is still going to be pretty damn close to a 50-50 split share between him and Williams down the stretch of the season. At 28, we have Sexy Rexy Burkhead, running back of the Texans, going up against the Seattle Seahawks. Very clear, David Johnson sucks donkey cock at this point in his career. Rex Burkhead, far from amazing, going up against the Seattle defense with Davis Mills under center. I don't love this. I like the matchup, but I don't like the fact that Mills is the quarterback. He stinks. So Rex Burkhead, running back 28. 29, we got Darrell Williams going up against the Raiders. Again, he has been seeing a little bit more work as of recently, even with Clyde Edwards-Helaire healthy, but I don't think it's enough workload to where you should be worried about Helaire and to where you'd want to be starting Darrell Williams. At 30, we have Devin Singletary, running back of the Bills, going up against the Bucs this week. If Singletary, Burrito, and Zach Moss are all starting, like I believe they will be, don't even think about playing any of these guys. Now, if there was a gun to my head, I'd tell you to play Singletary because, in my opinion, he looks like the guy that the team is the most confident in. But I'm going to tell you right now that I am not the most confident in Devin Singletary. I am not at all. I think in this game, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Moss was the lead back, if Breida was the lead back, or if Devin Singletary was the lead back. Maybe not in terms of touches, but in terms of fantasy points, and that hurts. It makes it impossible to dissect this situation. I whip out the microscope, I put it under a microscope, I'm looking at it, and I can't fucking figure anything out. It is very confusing. It is very annoying. Do not start any of these Bills running backs. Final running backs to discuss, running backs 31 and 32. We've got Ameer Abdullah, running back of the Carolina Panthers, going up against the Atlanta Falcons. Now, again, I said don't worry, don't get nervous about Ameer Abdullah because I think that Chuba Hubbard will be just fine. Chuba Hubbard, however the fuck you say this guy's confusing ass name. But we did see up against the Dolphins prior to their bye that Ameer Abdullah was going to be the guy seeing the more receiving work with Christian McCaffrey out. So he's running back 31. He has that receiving upside, but I don't think we're going to see him rush the ball a whole ton. At 32, closing in the top 32, we got Ty Johnson, running back of the New York Jets, going up against the Saints. Not the best matchup, not the worst matchup, because the Saints, some weeks they look amazing, the next week they look like shit defensively. We got Ty Johnson without Tevin Coleman. I think he's going to be the clear lead back, but wouldn't be surprised if that Austin Walter motherfucker comes out of nowhere like an RKO from Randy Orton and absolutely steals the value from Mr. Ty Johnson, which sucks, but I'm still going to rank him as a top 32 running back because he's the lead running back in my, kind of when I break that down, that's how I see it. So Ty Johnson, running back 32. Thank you guys all so much for watching. If you did end up enjoying, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I love you guys all so much. I finished my finals. Thank goodness that school is over. I love you guys so much. I hope you have a great rest of your guys' day. See you tomorrow with another video. If you want an additional video from me breaking down injuries, Awesemo, fantasy football, type that in. It'll be on there by tonight. I love you guys. Have a great rest of your guys' day. Goodbye.